Hi chaps, Simo P here from Beard, Biceps and Batchat. Today's video is a little bit of an interesting one. So for the past week I have been trying to get a guest replay up from Mark Hicks in his Centurion Action X in front of me from a game we played together, and I've been having an absolute nightmare doing it. Luckily, I also recorded the exact same game, so there'll be a point where, unsurprisingly, perhaps I die and we follow Mark. It's a bit unusual, but even though it's unusual, it's very worthwhile still showing this replay. Mark is a very, very good player. I'm sure as I went past his Centurion Action X, you saw the 3 marks on it. Very, very good. His decision making is spot on, it's superb, and that's really going to come through in this game. It's a very, very close game. So on this map, what we've decided to do is to go to the monastery at the top of the hill. We weighed it up and decided that the only tanks we really need to be careful of while going to this position is the T62As in the platoon. We beat them up there, so we felt fairly comfortable. Now it's at this point Mark is pushing on the heavy just there. He's calling me over to be quite aggressive to deal with this T10. The reason being, you don't want a T10 in your flanks, especially when we have very poor hull armour on a Centurion Action X. Our turret armour's good, hull armour not great. He's also keeping us spotted for the T62As, the RU251, the E75 and any other nasties still in base. So we quickly dispatch the T10. We just start waiting for our spots to drop off, and we're just trying to consolidate our position on the top of the monastery and start to use that to pour 5 into the T62As and the platoon at base. It's at this point I'm getting spotted, and I'm just trying to figure out where's safe for me to go so I can get in position without getting spotted. It's not the E75 that's spotting me. He doesn't really have the distance to do that. It's the RU251 that's actually doing it. Obviously played by a very competent player. As you see him popping in and out of the mini-map, you'll see him holding his own in some very interesting situations. So I'm just pouring shots into the E75. He's fairly flat on. At this point I've taken quite a lot of HP off him, so he's not going to be a big threat going forward. In fact, he's dead. Mark has actually pushed to the right hand side of the monastery. The reason for that is we've worked out we're realistically going to lose the fight that's happening on E, D and C 3, 4 and 5. So we're going to need to push back at some point. There's not too much going on. The T62As we were quite concerned about, wanted to pin down the left hand side, haven't shown up too much at this point. You'll see me literally just rocking back and forth just to see if anything crops up. More than anything else, what we're waiting to do is just for the battle to develop a little bit more. I'm pouring shots into the T62A. First one hit, firing the second shot into him, just trying to track him. Throw a little bit of a pain at the cheeky chap just to make sure if they deal with the heavy and the light tank in front of them that they don't push up the monastery. As you can see, red team's won their flank, so we need to start preparing to make a move to the right hand side. At the same time, we've got to ensure if those T62As win against the light and heavy we've got over there, they're not too much of a threat if they push onto us from the left hand side. So I start making my way back over to Mark, who at this point is already having a fairly good game. We are 2, maybe 3, no, it's 3 tanks down on the red. Right hand side has absolutely crumbled down the ABC line. Again, we're not going to push very aggressively. The view range on the Centurion Action X is 410 meters. You chuck optics on there, or binos rather, slash optics, as well as cruise kills. You've got really, really good view range. We don't need to get up close and personal. We fluff dealing with that E5. What we want to do is keep this engagement at mid to long range. That allows us to take advantage of the rate of fire that we've got, as well as the aim time. It also just means they're not going to get opportunities, hopefully, to shoot at our hull armour. Where we are currently, there's a couple of dips right in front of us there that protects our hull armour, so we can deal with the IS-4 as he pops over. We managed to take him out. E5's dealt with, and now we've just got this E75 to deal with as well. Fire the first shot into him, goes straight through the turret. I'm very lucky there, if I'm being honest. He actually turns his turret from an angle to flat on, at which point it's not overly difficult to penetrate. Also, the penetration on the APCR rounds for the Centurion Action X is actually really good. So me and Mark decide at this point we've got to get aggressive. We've got to plug the gap on the right hand side, leave the light to his fate on J4. There's not really too much we can do. We've got to deal with the tanks that have broke through and that have been sort of battled through. We're hoping that they've had to do a lot of battle and have taken some damage. So the Yag Tiger, full health to the left hand side. So he's going to push on round, mop up whatever's left. We know the E75's over there. Mark's playing quite cautiously to conserve his hit points. I'm playing a little bit more recklessly, throw myself around. I eat a shot so Mark can take him out. Now you'll notice I'm struggling a little bit with my repair dial. Not quite sure why, just cannot repair that engine in multiple attempts with the repair kit. I would love to blame WG for that, but I assume that's just me getting overexcited and not taking my time. I aim to put a shot straight into the cupola. There we go, 238 damage. I finally, nope, still not even now, finally I managed to get my engine repaired. We decided to flex over to the other hand, well, the other flank. Now the reason we want to do that is we want to make sure we keep our artillery alive as long as possible. Between us we figure out we have enough view range to keep them at arm's length and let artillery deal with them as much as possible. Unfortunately for me, I get caught out in the open. Mark manages to cross. I am in a lot of trouble and cannot cross. So Mark also has the IS-7 in front of him to deal with. Now if you watch very carefully, Mark puts a shot into the IS-7, but he finishes him off by ramming him to death. I'm deciding, do I want to stay where I am, go around the right hand side, see if I can get some flanking shots in. Our tank's moving in on my position. I'm a one hit at the moment. Mark has dealt with the IS-7. I realise he's getting pushed by the T-62A, so I need to run back. I sort of risk it across open ground. Mark's got more HP than me, so we need to keep as many guns in the game as long as possible. Unfortunately, this happens. Yag Tiger takes me out. It is now Mark and the artillery versus essentially a full health Yag Tiger. They have a Death Star, and I think it is what remains of the M103. So this is very much for Mark, a game where all his decisions are going to have a very large impact. First thing he's looking to do here is to drop the spot that he has on him, go right around the outside of the castle in the middle of the map. What he's looking to do here is to create some space between him and the red team. As I was saying before, Centurion Action X has really good view range. It might only be 10 meters difference, but that is the difference between spotting someone, putting a shot into their front drive wheel, tracking them and doing damage, and being spotted yourself first. I have no idea why I moved over to myself. So Mark's moving up to the highest point on the map. That will let him protect the artillery, but will also allow him to use his view range. But at this way, he can also keep his vulnerable hull armour as protected as possible, and can rely on his turret armour that little bit more, giving him another line of protection. He's really got to try and keep that artillery alive as long as possible. Just for the supporting fire he should be able to provide to Mark. So at this point he has spotted the Yag Tiger, who has made it all the way around. He's getting a couple of cheeky shots in. He's making sure to keep the mound to his left to cover his hull armour as much as possible. He's not overexposing himself unless he really has to. He's just trying to keep tabs on him. So now he knows where the Yag Tiger is, which is still pretty much the same spot. He's still got to find out where the Death Star is. Oh, there's the Death Star, not the Yag Tiger, sorry. But he's still got to find out where the heavy tank as well. Once he's assessed where everyone is, he can decide how he wants to deal with them. Ideally, he needs them to be split up. Trying to take them on at the same time, even if you're doing peekaboom, is an absolute nightmare. All they need to do is pre-aim on where you're peekabooming out from, and even by sheer luck, they can just take you out. With his HP at the moment, he's not a one hit, except maybe to the Death Star. Then yes, yes, he is a one hit. So he can be a little bit uncautious, so that's word. Brave will be a better word, to be a little bit brave. So he's managed to get the jump on the heavy below him, where he's able to use the full 10 degrees of the Centurion Action X's gun depression. He's in a great position, his hull isn't open, and if he gets shot back, it's just going to be in the turret, and from that angle his turret is very, very strong and likely to bounce a return fire. Luckily for him, they weren't able to get return shots. That was his 6th kill of the game. There's been a lot of this game where we were 3 versus 5, 3 versus 6. He was 2 versus 3. If you don't count the... Oh no, Artie's dead. So he's 1 versus 2 versus a full health Jagdtiger as well as a Death Star. So the only tank he knows for sure that is in the vicinity is the Death Star. So again, he's looking just to open up some ground between him and the Death Star, just to utilise his view range as much as possible. Tries a cheeky little snapshot just to see if he can get the cheeky little chap out of the game. I've taken a little bit out of the video, which is Mark just running around the outside of the castle. He captures the Death Star, takes him out with a great shot. He now has to try and guess with 3 minutes remaining where the Jagdtiger is. He has to be very careful. So he can take a shot from the Jagdtiger if the Jagdtiger low rolls and doesn't kill him in one shot. Mark, on the other hand, if he catches the Jagdtiger on the side, the back, or turning, Mark can take him out at mid-range, circle him to death, where the Jagdtiger can't really do much. So this really all depends how Mark catches the Jagdtiger, how he spots him, and in what position. He's not fully sure exactly where he is, so again he does a sensible thing, goes back to the highest point on the map just to see if he can figure out where he is. Again, he's got 2 minutes left of time. Our cap goes off, so he knows exactly where he is. At this point, this is probably a mistake by the Jagdtiger player. I can see why he's done it. He's obviously aware of the same things Mark says. If Mark catches him at certain angles, he'll just blow him away. So maybe he should cap and try and force Mark onto him. So now Mark knows exactly where he is. He just thunders up all the way to the cap. Again, he's being quite cautious not to knock over any buildings, any trees, to give away his position. He needs the Jagdtiger player to be totally clueless to his approach. He's unlikely to catch him at an angle, as the Jagdtiger player literally just needs to sit facing outwards from the 9-0. Manages to spot him, just starts creeping over the hill, gets the first shot in, pulls back before the shot can come into him, and then just takes his time, waits for his reload, just reset the cap. There's still a minute left, which means he's still got more than enough time to deal with the Jagdtiger. He doesn't need to overcommit or rush how he finishes the game. So he pushes. Again, he's got the mound in front of him as cover. He's got tanks to the left as cover. He's just waiting for the Jagdtiger to crop up again, just so he can spot him. That's just to confirm his position, which way he's facing, and then sneaks around the left hand side. Jagdtiger starts moving. He snakes to the right. Jagdtiger misses his shot through the the trees are housed, everything. Shot straight into his flank. It's at this point the Jagdtiger player does not stand a chance. Mark is keeping nice and close to him. He's matching his turn at every sort of speed and every angle. It's literally inevitable that Mark takes him out. We're down to 19 seconds remaining. He needs one more shot to kill him. He's got 5 seconds left till he kills him. Boom, takes him out with 10 seconds left on the clock. Really, really great game from Mark. All his decision making in that was absolutely superb. I'm very lucky to play with a player like Mark. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I really hope you're enjoying the content. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying it, chaps, and I will catch you next time.